Hi, and welcome back to No Boundaries, the podcast. A podcast in which we, a mother and daughter duo, have really open and honest conversations, discuss sometimes even controversial topics, while also exploring our mother and daughter bonds. And I'm the mother, and my name is Anusha.
And I'm the daughter, and my name is Lulu.
Yes, and today we are talking about this amazing phenomenon. I think it's sort of like the story of the summer, and we're going to talk about it. And it's, in short, Nicolandria. Those who know. But maybe we can explain what it is, because, Lulu, why don't you explain? Because you got me into Love Island, which led us to Nicolandria. So why don't you explain about Love Island first?
Okay, so we have made an episode before about Love Island, and specifically Hurricane Huda and her toxicity displayed on TV and being romanticized by the public. So if you haven't listened to that one, definitely go check that out first. And there we go way more in depth of how the show works. But for today's episode's purpose, it's basically a reality TV dating show where you go and find love, as the name suggests. And basically
On an island.
In a villa. And basically it's a straight show with men and women who can couple up, and you all sleep in the same room. You're all stuck in the same villa for 6 weeks. People get dumped, people get stolen, hearts get broken, love gets made, and also potentially some people might be there for money or for fame, which is part of the show because it is the biggest dating show now, I think, of the United States.
Yeah, the United States took over from England. It started right in the UK.
Yeah.
And there's other countries. There's Australia. I think there's South Africa. There was France.
Netherlands.
Yeah.
Yeah, everywhere. But this is the biggest one now. And Nic and Olandria is a very interesting couple. So on the first day of Love Island, they were allowed to share a kiss with who they think was cute. Pick two people. Alandra picked Nic. Then Nic had a crush on her, but it never really happened. And then they were just friends. And they both had their own couple. And then eventually they were in their couple for 3 weeks. And then Alandria's couple found another girl that he liked more. And Nic's couple, she got dumped from the island. So then Nic and Olandria decided to give it another try. And they matched, and they made it to the finals together, and they became second place.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to get into Love Island and Nic and Olandria, I think, we don't want to waste too much time to talk about all the intricacies of how they got together. There was some controversy that production kind of had a say in it, which is, okay, yeah, it's a show with producers and, people talk. But the main thing is they did get together. They got second place and still
are together. And they're the only couple right now of all the members of Love Island from the season who are still together.
No, Shelly and Ace. But they are the only ones in the top three.
But they're the only ones in the final, that's what I meant.
Yeah, so the winners got, already separated. Number 3 separated during the finale, on their last date. And the fourth couple also already separated.
And if you're not interested in Love Island, still watch this episode, because the main reason we're making this video is because Nic is a white hetero cis male and Olandria is a dark-skinned black woman. So this alone brings a lot of controversy and a lot of issues and pressure for their relationship. And we thought it was interesting to use basically the gossip around Nicolandria to further dive into colorism and also self-hate.
And featureism, which is, I think an important topic, because even though I'm officially can be called, light-skinned or whatever, yellow or whatever you want to call me, I identify, of course, as a black woman, but also my features, which I'm very proud of, are very, very West African. I look more feature-wise like my father's family, who are from West Africa, from Cameroon to be exact, than my mom, even though I also have something, you can see I'm my mother's daughter, but my features are more my dad's, which are West African, and I'm very proud of them.
Yes.
Okay, so how do we dissect this? How should we start? Let's maybe first talk about, so they got together, Nic and Olandria, and let's talk about the doubt and the people do not believe that they are a real and true couple, which also had to do with why it took for them so long to get together.
Yeah.
Because Olandria just didn't register to her that Nick really liked her.
I think it's interesting to start with that because there's a lot of doubt on, like my mom said, it took so long for them to get together. They didn't get together until like the last week, and the show's like, 6 weeks, 8 weeks. So people were very like weirded out, and they were like, oh, they just didn't have any other options, so now they're just kind of sticking together. But she showed interest on day 1, and he showed interest on day 2, where they got to secretly kiss someone with a blindfold on.
Sorry, and I'm obsessed, so that's why I'm interrupting you. He showed interest in day 1 as well, because he said away, Olandria piqued my interest, even though he got coupled up with another girl who was like classically his type. A beautiful, mixed, Asian, gorgeous, model-looking girl. He said right away, she piqued my interest from day 1 because the kiss he just felt something so intense, even in their first kiss. So day 1, he was interested.
Yeah.
And even when Alandra, I remember because I watched every episode like 3 times, Alandra could pick Nick, and she could steal Nick away from the girl he was coupled up with, which her name was Bella. He was really looking at her. You can see, like, pick me. He was really giving her the eyes, but she didn't choose him. She chose Taylor, a black guy, African-American guy, who was also still with his couple, actually. So she had the choice to pick Nick, and she didn't.
Yeah. Anyways, back to what I was saying. The point was that after the show came out, there was an interview of Alandra that really got to me, and she basically explained that she didn't even fathom the fact that Nick was actually into her, which brings us to our first topic, which is another layer of disbelief where like black women can feel like a white man doesn't actually, like, that there's no chance that they actually are attracted to me and actually want me, which adds a whole other protective layer, which is why it took so long for them to get together, and which is also why she's probably hesitant and has her guard up, and she's super standoffish, very reserved, which she is in general. Even with the black guy, she was like that. But I can understand that it's even more so with a white guy, because we've seen it in every other season of Love Island before, where a dark-skinned woman ends up winning the show or being in the top 3 and gets screwed over by a lighter-skinned man or a white man. So we see it again and again. So of course, Alandria's not going to be yet again another fool to fall for it. But at the same time, Nick is showing her genuine interest. So those two like battles that must have been going in her head between like protecting herself or going after what she wants, like that must have been so complicated.
Yeah. And I recognize that it's very complicated. I mean, I was raised in the Netherlands, as I've said before, in Amsterdam, which is, a pretty diverse city. The Netherlands had colonies in Suriname, South America, but they also transported, unfortunately, enslaved people there. So there was a connection with black culture where I grew up in the Netherlands. But still, it was where I grew up was very white-coded and very also culturally white. And in the Netherlands, it's more about assimilation than integration, right? So you have to become very Dutch, whichever culture you're from, to be kind of accepted. So I so recognize that insecurity of I've practically only dated white guys because those were the guys that were around me growing up. And I was always insecure about that. Like terribly insecure. So that ingrained racism plays a really big part in your life and also in how you look at relationships and at your own attractiveness.
Yeah, 100% I agree.
And I'm just so upset that it's still as bad in 2025. Yeah. I thought, I'm so old by now. Like, I really, really thought that my children would not have to deal with that.
We do, unfortunately. I think that's an important point, which explains why Alandra is so reserved with Nick. And it's interesting to see. Well, not interesting. It's actually more sad to see because Alandra is not the only one with this worry. The whole America has this worry. And it's really difficult because it's justified because it is a pattern. So we recognize patterns and we put in our defense modes and everyone's trying to look out for Alandra. But it's also extremely harmful because there is always that chance that he might be different and he might not be like those other white guys. And this whole like anxiety about it and this whole like defensiveness about it will block her from like being able to freely explore. And she's never going to be able to freely explore with him the way she probably would be able to do it. Maybe somebody who is of her skin tone.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it will always, I think, play a part. She's also, we haven't mentioned that before, from the deep south.
Yeah.
So she's from Alabama. And in Alabama, mixed marriages were really only, like, not saying, I don't know if the right word is allowed, we'll put that in the show notes, but ratified or, in 2000. Even though, like, in 1968, it was allowed, like, in the whole of, in the whole of the United States. Federally, but Alabama only recognized it in the year 2000.
Wow, I didn't even know that. That's bizarre.
And she was born, I think, in 1999 or 1998. So can you imagine? Wow. So that's how she grew up. And I'm not afraid to say that I don't think she ever dated, even maybe casually, a white guy. I think he's literally the first white man she's dating seriously.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. About Nick, what's interesting about him, he is from Florida, from a very mixed town where it's a lot of black culture and very ingrained. He also, I think, lived in Miami or whatever. He's traveled a lot. He's been to, like he said, like in 44 countries. And his parents were models, international models. His dad is from Belgium, which is the neighboring country of the Netherlands. So he definitely has a way more international, I think, demeanor and vibe about him. And I'm sure, like, he pretty much said that he dated all cultures and all.
Yeah.
Because after his last serious relationship, I mean, he's still really young. He's been, like, I think, single for 2 years. And he just traveled and dated everyone, every culture. Which you can tell.
Like, he is so comfortable in his skin. And he's so, like, gets along with anyone, and you can tell, like, he even in the villa, he was literally hanging out with everyone would come to him for advice and talk to him, because he's so, like, open arms, and so the opposite of Alandra, which is beautiful to see, because he's not afraid of anything. And I mean, like, as a white guy, he gets to just travel around and explore and have fun and learn. So yeah, he's like arms open, everyone's welcome, and Alandra's very reserved and very controlled and collected. So it's definitely very opposites attract situation, which is fun, which is fun to see.
It's beautiful to see. And what's also incredible is that the audience shipped them from the beginning, like literally from episode 1, even when they just came out, oh, this is going to be the next cast. There were people who were like, ooh, I like these two together. It's so interesting. And from the first day when she kissed him, and then I think it was still in the first episode, he kissed her back. That's what you meant with the second day. So there was a challenge. Everybody was blindfolded, and that gave you the opportunity to take off your blindfold if you wanted, if you were tapped on your shoulder, and you could kiss someone you were interested in, even though you didn't pick them as a couple, or, kiss again your couple, whatever you wanted to do. You were free to kind of like, make out with someone else. And he very famously, like straight went to her and only kissed her. And was like this very passionate kiss. So that was, I think, day 2. But it was, I think, still in the first episode, I believe. And that's when everybody, like big fans, were like, oh my God, they're made for each other. So that was episode 1 or episode 2. And they got together in episode 30. So for all those 29 episodes, people were waiting, looking literally for crumbs. For them to get together. So when they came out of the villa, they had a huge fan base as well. People loved them, who adored them, wanted to be together. But also, of course, a huge, group of criticism, even from their cast, right? So even their previous castmates they were all friends and hanging out. Now, of course, the stakes are high, lots of money is being made, and they're being criticized. So what do you think that you as a, this is your Gen Z, how does that affect, like, that whole online interference also into your relationship?
I mean, it affects a lot. I think one of the big things is that Nick, as we like to say, is chronically online. So Nick is very, like, up to date with all the Gen Z stuff. He knows all the TikTok trends and all the funny jokes and tweets and whatever. And he's playing into that, of course. So he understands all the hashtags, everything. Like, he gets it right away because he's online. And I think that's why it's not helping his case. I think a lot of people are questioning if he's genuine, because they understand that he knows what works, what goes viral, what goes well on TikTok, what the fans want to see. He goes exactly for those points, which, I mean, fair enough. Wouldn't you do the same if you had the opportunity? But a lot of people are doubting, and they feel like, oh, they're just together because the fans want them, and it's a PR relationship. That's what people say, and that they're only together for the clout.
Yeah.
And that Nic is basically using Alandra for clout.
But you've been in relationships, and you've also been on TikTok and on, social media with your relationships. Is this just really part of your generation right now? That all your friends and everybody you know is in relationships, it's just normal to do that and make jokes together?
It's super normal to, I'm not the type to to share a lot with my partner, but I know a lot of people my age do it. They like to share everything online. Some a little too much, but that's fine. Whatever works for you, whatever floats your boat. I just think that people are questioning because he purposely does the trends. And I guess that's what people are questioning.
Yeah, but I mean, I understand that because this is their work.
You have to get your bag up.
Before this, he was working as a registered nurse and a model.
I know, and I don't see why it has to be either or. Why can't it just be and he's using clout and using his relationship to get more clout, and he also likes his relationship and likes Alandra. Why can't it be both? Yeah. Why does it have to be one or the other? No. I don't understand.
As we spoke also in our other episode where we talked about Huda, I mean, to be in that environment for 2 months, no phone, no nothing. You're not allowed even to read. You don't even know what time it is, what day it is. You only sleep 4 hours. There's a production team that's 3 times as big as the cast around you. Cameras everywhere. I mean, that is so stressful for your mental health. They all lost so much weight. He was like a, big gym kind of guy. He lost, I think, 25 pounds in those 6 weeks. So to go through all that stress, of course you want to become more famous and make more money, right? At least. I mean, please, I think that's the least they should do. So I think that's really, really great. So I'm mixed, identify very much as a black woman. How do you identify and how do you look at the politics of race in relationships and, from your perspective and your generation?
So I personally identify as mixed, biracial, multiple racial, whatever. I have issues when it comes to knowing what parts I identify with. I hate to be all corny, but I don't consider myself fully white, and I don't consider myself fully black. I mean, I'm not either, so it makes sense. But I would never ever feel comfortable to just say, oh, I'm black, or to say, oh, I'm white, because both wouldn't make sense for me. So I guess I'm always kind of in the middle, and I just always say I'm mixed. And then if people ask, I'll explain what I'm mixed with, which is a lot of stuff. But it's weird because I grew up with a black mom, and I think usually I'll say that, oh, my mom's black, or oh, I grew up with a black mom, when explaining certain things, instead of being oh, I'm black, because I've grown up with a mom who's black, who's experienced a lot of racism and prejudice and all that stuff, but I haven't experienced it as much. I've had some, to some extent, of course, but not near to my mom or some of her black friends have experienced. So yeah, I feel it would take away from the hardships other people face by claiming too much that I'm black, if that makes sense. So yeah, I don't really identify as black necessarily, but yeah, mixed.
But how do you look? So if you look at the politics of race, and if we use Alandria and Nicolandria as an example, how do you see that, and how do you experience it with your friends, just your generation?
I think a big thing is that, as you said, now it is more common to see mixed couples than in the past, but there's still a lot of issues. But I think when it comes to specifically black and white relationships, from my experience, it's very normalized when it's a black guy with a white girl. That's very normalized, and people are not surprised by that anymore. They're not. It's gone to the point where people are used to that and they're aware of it.
Yeah.
And which comes with issues too. A lot of times it will be the black family that's not happy with their son having a white girlfriend, and the other side is tricky. Sometimes the white parents are more liberal, so they don't care. Sometimes they do care. It just depends on the white family. But I guess specifically I have 2 black friends, male friends, who date white girls, and their moms specifically are disappointed. And I guess that's where a part of internalized racism or colorism comes in as well, that as being a dark-skinned woman growing up, and then you have like black children, and then to see them go for a white girl, and when you're a black woman, like I understand it can cause us some like pain or like make you reminisce on the times where you weren't good enough because you were a black woman, and now like your son, like worrying that your son might be like those other guys who also goes for white girls. Like I don't know how to explain it, but
no, of course
it makes sense that as a black mom there's some sense of like resentment towards that. But at the end of the day, of course, people should be happy and date who they want to date. And
yeah, but I think that's an interesting question. Like, do you date who you want to date, or do you also date what's beneficial to you?
Right.
Which is also understandable considering we live in a racist society.
Yeah.
And we live in a male-dominated patriarchal society. So very often they say men date women who give them something, who elevate their status.
Yeah.
Right? And unfortunately, white still, can elevate your status, sort of, culturally.
Yeah. And I'm not speaking necessarily for my friend. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't think his mindset is like this. But I have met black guys who have white girlfriends. And I've met some who religiously only date white girls. And who go out of their way to say, white girls is my type. I don't really like black girls. And that's like a next step. To the point where, you're going out of your way to only be with white girls, which could, again, partly become from, like, wanting to benefit yourself, like you said, but also I've met a lot of black guys who, like, again, stereotype black women into, like them being, like, loud or, like, crazy or too outgoing, so they rather be with a white girl because it's more chill and easygoing. And that's obviously where it becomes problematic.
It's very problematic, even though...
And also not true.
No, first of all, it's not true. But very often those men are the same men who are very proud of their own blackness or, love their own culture or benefit from their own culture. Like a lot of people, like, men in sports or music industry or film industry. And you can see that part of their lure is that they are black or African American. And they want that maybe also for their kids. I think, but their wife has to be a certain way or a certain class. I think class also plays a role in that, right? Especially, I mean, for women, again, we've said that so many times, our space is so small. Also for white, I mean, the space for women is just so tiny. So if you don't get it from one side, you get it from another. Whatever you look like. But I think it's the hardest, of course. Colorism, featureism plays a huge role in it because what's very interesting is in Love Island this season 7, United States. Let's talk about Shelley because she's also considered a dark-skinned woman, but her features are very, as one might say, more Western, Eurocentric. And all the men, like from all sorts of races, like were after her, were on her.
100%. Whereas Alandra, her features are like more like African descendant, right? Mm-hmm. And there was definitely not as many men on her. And the only two guys on her, they were black men. But Taylor, again, there was a lot of like conspiracies going around that Taylor didn't actually like dark-skinned women and he wasn't attracted to her. And he did end up with a light-skinned girl. Do it that way you will. And then the only white guy after Alandra was Nic, and this is an interesting part because, and I think you can speak on it as well since you also have more African features, and as well a strong personality, and Alandra also has a strong, like you can't, Shelley's more like giggly and stop it, and Alandra is very like, people are intimidated by her because of how she presents herself, and I think that's where it's interesting because the white guy that she does attract is super outgoing, super all over the place, very like eager to learn and to meet and very like, so it's like, it's tricky because it's hard because you're being like discriminated against constantly through your features and seeing like other women with your skin tone, they do get certain praise that you don't get. So then, it's not only a color issue, but at the same time, when you do like, if you are someone like Alandra who represents herself the way she does with her features, and you do attract like guys outside of your race, usually they are the more like open-minded guys, or they are the more like outgoing guys. Yes,
I mean it's usually there's usually also like scary, fetishizing
100%
types, and they can be from all over the world and all sorts of types. the things people have said to me are, I won't even repeat them, are so gross. And that's been in every country I've been. I've traveled also a lot. Yeah. And I usually can tell how a country is if I walk somewhere on my own. It's been kind of creepy, things people have said to me. You're right that men who quote unquote dare to approach me are usually, I've hardly dated seriously men who don't have a very strong personality.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get.
Stronger personality than me, for sure.
Yeah.
Because as a woman, so whatever a culture, race I am, I'm a very strong personality that's very visible. Plus being black, then you get it, threefold. Because there's like this whole, of course, how do you say, narrative about how black women are this or that or loud or strong. So with me, it's like twofold.
And I think it's interesting because my friends and I, we always talk about this, how a lot of straight guys with girlfriends, without girlfriends, whatever, a lot of them, they don't actually like women. And this is what I mean when I say that. They like the idea of like having a girlfriend. They like girls. They like showing off to their boys, and almost everything, like almost all their romantic like benefits or whatever that you get from a relationship, they get it from their male friends. Just praise and all that. Yeah. And they have a girl for sex. And they have a girl to show off to their guys. And to show off, I have a girl. And in those scenarios, it's easier to have a girl who's more like, hi, you're so funny. And oh my God, stop. And, a more simpler personality. Because that works in their world. But these guys often don't actually like women. Like, they don't actually like the individuals, women, that come with a personality. And that's what I mean with that. When somebody does go out of their way to be after Alandra, it's more likely to be someone with a very strong personality and who at least is a little bit more secure in themselves.
I'll raise you another one. I believe that most men, most heterosexual men and gay men, like most men, don't like women. Don't love women. There's even, I think, a term for it. I'll look it up and make sure the right one is in the show notes. I think it's called, so not homosexual, but homosocial. Most men are homosocial. Like their whole social world and their love, their non-sexual, non-physical love evolves around men. And I've had the same with your dad. I mean, we've been together, I've said that before, for 26 years. We really love and respect each other. But there has been a lot of, the problems we have had to do with the fact that, he also had to learn to devalue his love for men, and to kind of like literally realize, no, wait a minute, if I love this woman, I also have to love her culturally, socially, emotionally, and she has to be my best friend. Yeah. Right? That has been a big struggle the first couple of years. That was really, really hard because his friend group most of them couldn't stand me. Because I wasn't the like
complicated,
yeah. So yeah. And a lot of my friends, my female friends who date men, struggle with that. And yesterday, so funny, I had lunch with my husband and two friends of ours, a gay couple, and they said the same, all three of them. So Martijn, your dad, and those two friends said, yeah, it's true. We are guilty of that. Martijn admitted it too. Yeah. Your dad.
That a lot of men, they don't like women, and they get their whole relationship.
Or that they have to, how do you say, they had to decolonize from that. You know, to
like internalize.
That internalization, they had to work on that. So these were three really nice, well-spoken men who all three had to work on that process of, deconstructing their own, quote-unquote hatred or obsessive love towards men. Because, men means power. Men means everything in this world still.
No, literally 100%. And the amount of, the amount of times I've, hung out with, there's one situation with one of my friends who was with her boyfriend for 3 years. And I was just meeting him, and we all of a sudden got into a deep topic about sexual assault, and he admitted a personal story regarding that topic. And after that, my friend was like, wow, he's never told me that, he never talks about this. And I was like, wait, you guys have been together for 3 years, and what do you guys talk about? Do you guys even have conversation? And that was also the first time she opened up about something, and it's she said that she realized that in those 3 years, he actually doesn't really ask her any questions. They don't ever get deep. They don't ever talk about stuff. They really don't. It's just kind of going on dates, being cute, being intimate sexually, and that's really it. Watching videos together, they don't have that connection. And it's interesting that again, a lot of men, they don't actually like women. And that's the only, like, that's one of the only pros with a character like Alandria, is that she is a very, like, a woman, and when someone's after her, you know, most likely it's going to be a stronger minded guy who's more secure, which is why I have faith in Nick, because he does give up, like, he's that type of guy.
Oh, yeah.
And he reminds me in that sense of my dad, who is a mom.
That's part of it why I love watching them.
Yeah,
It reminds
for
me
her,
so
this is healing.
much. It's healing to watch these young people, you know, going through that and seeing that. And plus, what I...
On TV, like, this is the first time I've seen this on TV, even for me.
Growing up, I never saw this,
No.
you know, hardly ever. So for me, at my age, to see this, I'm like a child again. Literally, I'm like a young girl, like, looking at
And,
this.
like, the way you're, like, so obsessed with everything, that's literally when you're a young girl and you get, like, all these posters and fluffies and everything. That's you.
I want a Labubu now, too. I really want a Labubu.
Because of Nick. Lord.
And because of Naomi Osaka. You know that tennis player, she loves Labubus.
I didn't know she loves little boo-boos, but I do know who she is.
It's so, no, it's so, and speaking of guys, so can you imagine, so Alandria was after, you can tell she never dated a white guy, I believe. I don't think she seriously dated a white man before this, and she really tried to make it work with Taylor. Like the perfect, quote unquote, on paper, he was her type on paper. Yeah. He was a country guy from the South, from Oklahoma, great family. He wanted to be working on becoming a veterinarian. He does rodeos on horses, like perfect, right, for each other. Unfortunately, he was not, or maybe fortunately, he was not into her. Because look at him, have you seen him and his relationship with Clark? I pick Clark.
The difference is huge. So this is a black guy who was with Alandria from day one. And he was a slow burner. He didn't want to move too quick. He was very, like, Alandria would always complain that he was, like, always hanging out with his friends. He wasn't really spending time with her. They were never doing cute dates. And then every time when a new guy would show her interest and she would start getting to know a new guy, that's when all of a sudden him and Ace, freaking Ace, anyway, that's when he would step it up, plan a date to keep her hooked. And he got her hooked every time because you could tell Alandria had a weakness for him. Like, Alandria really liked this guy. Like, she liked him. She sent somebody else home for this man. Like, she liked him. And he just kind of held her there. And then when his actual type of paper came in, Clark, a light-skinned woman.
Gorgeous.
And she's stunning. Like, no hate to her. And I love her, too. She's super cool.
Yeah.
And it's not her fault at all.
No.
He was immediately switched to her. And in those 3 days, he was a whole different person. And it fulfilled our suspicion. Like, it was so painful those first 3 weeks of the show because you already have that fear when a guy dates a dark-skinned woman on a TV show. Unfortunately, there's already that fear. Like, does he actually like black women? And that's, like, a thing that a lot of people don't even think of. Like, a lot of girls get to be like, oh, like, does he like me? Like, am I his type? Like, ooh, maybe he doesn't like me. Maybe he does. But for black women, they first have to think, does he even like black women to begin with?
Yeah.
Before they can start thinking about,
does he like my color?
Me?
And does he also like my features, right? Like we said with Shelley, who had like more Eurocentric features, was completely different. What's very interesting though, that's how you see how society also still plays a part. In interviews, Alandria said that, listen, it looks terrible when you watch it back, but while I was there, and Nick, said the same, and other people said the same, even the voiceover said the same, Ian, the guy who does the voiceovers for Love Island, he was showing her his interest, as a slow burn, but he was always making her breakfast, he was taking care of her, holding her hand, helping her up the stairs. So there was interest, but they edited that out. They showed us the bare minimum edit, and plus the few things he said about her, like, I'm not sure if I'm physically attracted to her. That's what they kept showing us. So even producers, even, the narrative for us...
They found a narrative of the whole, like... And that, I feel bad for Taylor in that sense, because... maybe he actually did like Alandria and he does like dark-skinned women and he just happened to not click with her and production made it look that way. And then there happens to be a light-skinned woman come in who he did click with, which of course it looks horrible, like putting it out there. It looks horrible. It looks like, he was so slow, he wasn't into her. Then there's a light-skinned woman and all of a sudden he's on top of her, kissing her all the time, being affectionate with her, being so close. But when you see them now on TikTok and everything and seeing them out of the villa, Clark and Taylor are so similar in personality. They have the same humor.
Together.
No offense.
Yeah.
They're
It's
very
not
boring.
my humor.
Like, they're super boring to me. But it works for them and it makes me happy to see because you can just feel this is right. Meanwhile, Alandra and Taylor, color aside, their personality weren't compatible to begin with, ever.
No, it's so interesting because if you look at Clark and I've seen a few of their lives, Clark and Taylor, their jokes. I mean, he pushes her out of the frame all the time, or does stuff to her head, or like with a pen, and like really like, you know, you could say like more brother and sister kind of humor, teasing each other, and she laughs it off, and she's great with that. I just cannot even imagine Olandria.
He's literally, I can't have a kid feeling. Like, he's a little kid.
Yeah, and two of them great. And now, and it's so funny when you see Nic and Olandria, she is like a different, I mean, apparently that was how she also was in the villa, but they never showed us. She's goofy. She makes jokes.
Confident.
But also confident, but in her own
Did you see her at the VMAs
way.
where she was like, oh, they asked her like, oh, if you could make your own category, what would your like award be? She's like, best dressed, hello, have you seen me? And I was like, yo, clock it.
Exactly. So sometimes things work out the way they should. I think it's amazing that Clark and Taylor are together, and I think it's amazing that Nic and Olandria are together.
I agree.
In conclusion, you never know how long relationships last. It's always a risk. You never know. I mean, there are no guarantees. I've been with my husband for 26 years, and I don't know what happens when I'm not there, or if one day he comes home. And so, yeah, well, I've known couples literally, you know, even after 20 plus 30 years, people decide like, you know what? No, you don't have guarantees, right? The most important thing, of course, is communication. I have the feeling that Nic and Olandria, because they were such good friends, and they both have said that friendship is important to them. Nic's parents have been together for, I think, 35 years and started as friends. You know, that they were raised with that. And Olandria's parents are not together anymore, but are still very close. Her whole family and the other partners, they're all really close as a family. So I think they have a really, really, really good and beautiful and solid chance because of their communication styles together that match, and because of their friendship. I think that's very important, right? You never know what's going to happen, but if you can talk about it, you can navigate it, you can think of next steps, therapy, whatever, as long as you talk about it.
I agree, and I think for my theory personally, like regarding the whole talks about them, I could see them being a PR couple. Good for them. Get that bag, get that money. Like, you would do the same. You have the opportunity. Let's be real. Like, I could see them being a PR couple, and I could see them breaking up because the media is too much, or there's too much pressure, or just simply not the right time. Doesn't match. It doesn't work out. I could see all these things, but what I do not see genuinely is that he's not into her like physically. Like, he's physically attracted to her. He's 100%. Into her, regardless of her skin tone, her features, and all that.
Regardless, because of, he finds her skin tone beautiful. Exactly. He finds her features beautiful. He saw that right away. And that's always what he commented on. That he likes her strong personality. He loves her eyes. He loves everything about her. So no, I don't believe it's PR. First of all, he would have done even better PR with any white girl, whatever he would have chosen.
I know, I'm just saying, if it happens to be a PR relationship, I'm not surprised. Yeah. But if I find out, he actually was not into her, and like Kenny and Janae, he doesn't even like black women.
Oh my god,
I'll be surprised.
Yeah, that's
because
6. We're not
he
talking about it
is into her physically. I don't care what anybody says.
And she's into him physically too, because she also said, I've been single for 5 years. I'm gonna open myself up and actively look for love. So she kissed him. He was the first person she kissed, because she was like, I'm going to think outside the box. He's attractive. I like him. I'm going to go for that. So and plus their families are so involved. His mom was a shipper from day one. Even while he was still with another girl, his mother said, yeah, but I like Olandria. When there was nothing happening. Moms, no.
We're getting off topic and we're going on a rant.
Okay, sorry.
Thank you guys for checking in. And we'll promise after this episode no more Nic and Olandria, because it will be a rant.
Yeah.
So please let us know any topics you would like us to discuss.
No. I want to say one thing before we, as a conclusion. No.
Oh, sorry.
To women who look like me, who look like us, dark-skinned women, our kind of features, Western African features, please be proud and love your features and your skin tone. And please open your world up and look at West African women. Go and look at beautiful pictures of women who are West African, who have their color, who have their features. Look at the beauty. You can decolonize your brain. You can decolonize. I did the same. I grew up completely like wanting to be white, blonde, skinny, this kind of hair. And I have decolonized myself by opening myself up, by reading different books, by looking at different images, and literally refusing I stopped looking at fashion magazines for a really long time to stop adoring thinness and whiteness. You can do that. And I started looking at other women. You can do that. And now it's even easier with social media and with the internet and everything. So you got it. And Nicolandria, yes, we have this beautiful woman now we can all look up to.
No, exactly that. So let us know if you want us to discuss any other topics. Guys, we have no boundaries. We'll discuss anything. Go look at our old episodes. You'll see we get very honest and very, personal. And if you have any question that you're too scared to ask your mom, we got you.
I'm your mom.
Or if there's anything you're too scared to ask your daughter, so please ask ahead. We want to make whatever you guys want us to make. So yeah. All right.
Thank you so much. And as always, I love you. I love me. And we love y'all.